You may kill your darlings, but you can resurrect them and recycle them. Reduce, reuse, recycle, folks. Diction, Catherine, diction. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Katie, and today's video is going to be talking about Camp NaNo July and my plans for the rest of June. Look today is brought to you by, as my bangs are completely out of control at the moment, and they need to be tamed. We're not here to talk about that. We are here to talk about July Camp NaNoWriMo. If you don't know what Camp NaNoWriMo is, it is a spin-off kind of thing from November NaNoWriMo, original NaNoWriMo, which is essentially you wrote 50,000 words in 30 days. I have only ever won once, and that one time was last November when I wrote the first 50,000 words of The Wrath King, which I talked all about in my All About My Novel video, which will be linked up in the cards if you haven't watched that video yet and would like to hear more about that novel. Since I'll be talking about it a little bit in this video, there are two other NaNoWriMos, April and July. I did not participate in April's NaNoWriMo because I was finishing the first draft of The Wrath King. I finished it in like mid-April, so there was no way I could edit it or continue writing or even like attempt to use April for anything because I needed a break. I needed to refill my creative well and be ready for July. So I have not looked at my Wrath King manuscript since April 8th or 10th, one of those days. I basically have not touched it, I haven't looked at it, I haven't read any of it. I only went back, edited the scenes into a preliminary order and a preliminary amount of chapters. So in July, my task, if I could pick this up, is going to be editing the 156,371 word manuscript. It's a behemoth. I don't know if we're going to be able to do it, but this is my first time actually editing a full novel manuscript, so I don't really have a process yet, which is why I want to document what I think I'm going to be doing. I'll hopefully be doing weekly vlogs in July, going through what my process is, what my steps are. I currently have a preliminary plan written in here. I don't even know if you can see that, so we're going to get into it. My first plan of attack is to write a detailed description of each chapter and make sure I note every thread that happens in the narrative. This is important because then I'll be able to see the novel as an entire whole rather than just the chunks and pieces. I can see it as a full picture, as the narrative, and then hopefully, fingers crossed, see where I went wrong with it, or where it needs to be fixed, what plot holes there are, what kind of craziness was in there when I was writing at 2 in the morning trying to get all these words out of my head and onto the page. So I essentially, at the end of writing down the detailed description of each chapter, each scene, that kind of thing, I want to have a really detailed outline of the entire novel. I am a pantser, or a discovery writer, or, you know, a gardener. I like to have a couple ideas that I spread throughout the novel, and then I grow them as I actually write the manuscript. So I will hopefully note pieces I don't like, what I need to change, what I do like, what I want to carry through, what seems to be lost and forgotten throughout different pieces, because I'm sure there are pieces like that, and just essentially have a game plan for a more detailed edit after July. So the current manuscript has 34 chapters, and I'm hoping that I can get at least a chapter a day, and I know that doesn't equate to 31, but hopefully on a day when I'm feeling like I'm on a roll, I'll be able to do like a second chapter that day, or maybe a couple chapters, or a couple of more scenes than I would have, so that I can do like 1.5 chapters a day. But I don't know what those days are going to be. I also kind of want to get ahead because I know I don't have all 31 of those days to do all of the work that I need to do, because there's a particular weekend in July where my brother is getting married, so obviously I'm not going to be working on those days from like Friday to Monday because I'm going to be having fun and not worrying about writing or editing, revising. So I'm hoping to get at least a chapter a day done, hopefully more. I pretty much am not doing anything up until the wedding, so I will have 2 weeks in the beginning of July to kind of get ahead. While I would love to win NaNoWriMo, or whatever that kind of means, I know that it's also really going to be difficult because I have all these things in July, and I'm not trying to put too much pressure on myself because I want to make this manuscript as good as I can. And putting pressure on myself to just get it done and finish before a deadline is not going to be helpful in the long run, because I might miss something. If I'm too stressed out, I'll be just trying to get it done and meet the goal. So I think it's important for me to take it easy on myself. I also think there are about 2 or 3 scenes that I didn't write, so are in brackets, and I would obviously like to weave those into the narrative and actually write those scenes because, you know, that'd be nice to have those scenes. So that is the preliminary editing plan. Now I'm going to actually commit to Camp NaNoWriMo, which is kind of crazy to me. My computer is very slow because it's running a screen mirror and like 7 different other things. I put on my glasses so that I can actually see and I don't get a headache from the fact that I'm looking at blue light. Are you ready for your next great writing adventure? Join Camp NaNoWriMo. Yes, let's join camp. Name of the projects, DraftKing, stage, drafting, public, yeah. Disnoble. Onto your goal. Goal name. Edit this book. Goal is this editing. Goal. I'm going to set it at 156,371 because that's how many words I want to get through, essentially. I don't know what details. What are the genres? Fantasy. Horror. I think that's it. Could put other things, but we're just going to leave it at that for now. Project summary. Pretty sure I already have it on the NaNoWriMo website, so if she will load. See? Yep, there it is, the DraftKing. Click on it. Details? Is that where it is? Edit details, perhaps? Yeah. Just copy and paste. To the summary. I will copy and paste everything. My footage cut out while I was in the middle of recording this, and I didn't realize because I was on my computer and not looking at my camera. I'm going to copy and paste everything that was in my original project for the DraftKing from November into my one for July, because it's the same. Makes it just easier for me. I'm also lazy. I have a Pinterest if you wanted to check that out. I think it's actually the wrong one that I just posted in there, but I'll fix it. And I also do my Spotify playlist. I have playlists for literally everything, including ones for every month of this year, as well as a playlist for the DraftKing. I know I've mentioned it before, but if you want to know what I'm listening to whenever I write, it is this playlist, the DraftKing. It has a lot of good songs that I really enjoy. So I'm going to go to share, copy playlist link, go back up to NaNoWriMo, and paste it in, save project. And we are almost done. It just has this really ugly cover right now, so we're going to change that. So I just go into the project, I hit edit cover, if I can scroll correctly, if I can type correctly, select an image. I already have sort of one made. I actually want to make a video with me making a new one, but for right now this one will do. This is me trying to find it. I threw out all of my stuff. DraftKing cover 2, is that it? Uploaded, is it? Refresh, yes. Yes it is, so that's the cover I have for the DraftKing. Oh, and it's funky. They made some updates since November. Camp NaNoWriMo relaunched their website in November, and now it seems a little bit more up to snuff than it was before. I personally like the new website. I know that's an unpopular opinion, but I personally enjoy it far more than the original one. Sue me for that. Anyway, back to So, those are my plans for Camp NaNoWriMo July, but we're still in June, so what am I going to be doing in June? I have a couple of plans for June that I would like to work on, so let's go over them, shall we? So the first one is to set up an editing file for the DraftKing. I want to set up a way for me to, or a place within Scrivener, my Scrivener file for the DraftKing, where I can write the actual chapter synopsises and like keep them together in like separate folders. I think this will be the easiest way for me to keep track of the editing process. I have something in mind for what I want to do, but I still have to set that up. The last Sunday in May, so May 31st, I did a 10K day. I was going to film it, but I didn't. I'm really bad at vlogging. I'm so bad at vlogging. I actually wrote 10K, and I wrote about 4,000 words-ish in the Eclipse project, and then I wrote another 6,000 in a fanfiction idea. So, and I've been continuing to write the fanfiction idea throughout June as kind of a way to cleanse my brain. It's a contemporary, it's nothing super special, it's real tropey and fun, and a way for me to continue to write without it being really heavy. So yeah, I'm going to work on finishing that fanfiction in June, you know, be finished with it before I dive into deep edits, because I doubt I will have any chance to finish it in July. That is my main focus. My second focus is finishing my beta reader feedback. I would like to make an entire video on my feedback process. process, how I give feedback, what I look for, what I do. The third thing that I'm gonna work on is a project that I've been kind of letting marinate in my head. It's not been marinating very long, but the Eclipse project as it is kind of has broken into two separate things. The original idea that I still want to work on, as well as a separate idea that kind of evolved from one of the characters that I realized I'm a lot more interested in her arc and her path, and realized that I could give her her own story that is outside of the Eclipse project, not even in universe. Like, I have humongous ideas for stories, and then they just like break off because there's too much in one thing, and I'm like, this could be an entire story. I recently, in regards to that project, I was thinking about an old project, way old, that I will not be resurrecting, that I figured out when I was like 15 or 16. I wrote a ton of world building on, and I had a lot of fun doing world building for. So I want to kind of go back and dive into doing traditional world building that I did before. I've been really craving it. I've been wanting to do some fun world building in the vein of like traditional fantasy, simply because I usually don't do traditional fantasy anymore. The Wrath King was supposed to be a traditional fantasy, now it's more horror dystopia. The Eclipse Project was supposed to be traditional fantasy. It became science fiction dystopia fantasy kind of thing. So we'll see if it stays that way. What I'm calling it is The Queen's Champions. I know that sounds kind of stupid. It is not the final title. It's not even what I'm thinking of calling it, but that was what I called the project Scrivener file when I made it. I also want to take some things from that old project, so that's why I'm thinking of it. And I was thinking about it in terms of itself and the project, and why I liked it and what I liked from it, and what I might want to yeet out of that project and put into another project, because I'm all about recycling your ideas. You may kill your darlings, but you can resurrect them and recycle them. Reduce, reuse, recycle, folks. Here we are. And the last thing that I want to do is read 2 books. I have been in a super humongous reading slump since like March, I think. The last book I've like fully finished, actually that's not true. I was about to say the last book I fully finished was Chain of Gold. That is not true. I read Aurora Burning in May. Yeah, in May. But those are the only 2 books I've read in like the past like month, and there are so many good books, and I've gotten a lot of suggestions off of the internet and a lot of recommendations for books to read, especially from Black and people of color, especially with everything that's going on in the world. I think reading books by those people is important, so I'm going to diversify my reading. Also, I have about 1 billion over there. I made an entire shelf of books I wanted to read in April, and then promptly didn't read any of them. Just who we are. It's just who we are. Just be that way. Anyway, so those are my plans for Camp NaNo July and for the rest of June. Please leave me a comment down below of what you are working on. Let me know about your projects, your whips, all of that stuff. What does your editing process look like? As someone who has never really fully edited before, I would love to know. If you have any resources, obviously put them down below and we can talk about them. So let me know if you're planning on participating in Camp NaNo July. Leave your username down below for your NaNoWriMo. We can be friends. I need more friends, especially as I edit this book. It's a solitary road, so I need y'all. As always, if you want to find out more about me and my projects and the things that I support and that kind of thing, you can follow me on Tumblr. That is the main social media I use, especially since I deleted Instagram and TikTok. I deleted those because I realized they were kind of toxic for me, and I didn't want to be bombarded on all sides by so much information. But I'm still active on Tumblr, and obviously I watch a lot of YouTube. Hope you guys are all doing super well. If you like this video and want to see more, you can like and subscribe. Go check out another video of mine if you want to see more of my rambling face. Anyway, I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!